We want to get some perspective now from a person who knows the region quite well, Jamie Rubin. He served as Assistant Secretary of State for Public Affairs during the Clinton administration, and he's now here, part of the Bloomberg family, as an executive editor. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
And welcome to the show. You know, it's such an interesting thing to watch what's happening in Egypt right now. There was a lot of anticipation that there would be spillover from the crisis in Tunisia, and yet there was this sense that not Egypt. They're too much of a U.S. ally. Mubarak's been in power for 30 years. There's too much stability to see what we're seeing right now.
Well, I think the big difference between Egypt and Tunisia is the army. Mubarak comes from the military, and his support within the military is quite strong, while in Tunisia the military was a separate institution and played a crucial role in separating the police and supporting the dictator and the protesters on the street. Now, having said that, there are some similarities, a lot of similarities. Egypt is a country which has similar problems: unemployment, resentment, and living under authoritarian rule for far too long. And I think the administration here in Washington and the States is having a very tough time figuring out how to balance their interest in democratic values on the one hand and the support they've given over the years to Mubarak on the other.
And you point to the military background of Mubarak. 80% of the aid that this country gives to Egypt is in the form of military assistance. I mean, analysts have gone so far to say the guns that are being used right now come from U.S. funds. I mean, that's a difficult data point to argue with.
Absolutely. Look, money is fungible. Any aid, you could argue, ends up in the hands of a government as can use it as it sees fit. We certainly have an extensive training program and military-to-military relations with the Egyptian military. There's no question about that. And I think what you see for that reason is the White House aides running around driven, I would argue, mostly by fear of getting this wrong, fear of not supporting an ally in a time of trouble, and then he wins out and he doesn't give us the relationship we had before. Or on the other hand, fear of being on the wrong side of history as Middle East goes through this powerful democratic change that is occurring one way or another. Tunisia, the events on the ground today here in Egypt and in Jordan and in Yemen are going to change the political history of the Middle East. We just don't know precisely how yet.
Well, I want to bring up something on screen right now, because you're talking about what would be happening inside of the White House, inside the State Department where you worked. And this communication coming from one of the Assistant Secretary of Public Affairs, P.J. Crowley, on Twitter: "We're concerned that communication services, including the internet, social media, and even this very tweet, are being blocked in Egypt." The communication that we in the press have received has come in this form, from Twitter, from the State Department, acknowledging that in many ways the standard media outlets to the Egyptian public are being blocked here. I mean, is this what diplomacy has become? It's digital.
Well, Secretary of State Clinton has made a big point of the role of social media in foreign affairs. She's given a speech on the subject, an important speech on the role of the internet in public diplomacy around the world. And remember, when the events occurred in Iran, much of the communication back and forth was occurring through social media. But the bottom line here is that the Egyptian authorities are doing whatever they can, short of mass murder on the streets, to prevent this from getting out of hand. They've put under house arrest the figure, a Nobel Prize winner who many thought was untouchable because he won the Nobel Prize, Mohammed el-Baradei. They've cut off the internet and social media. They're putting police out in enormous numbers. They know that once you get to a point where hundreds of thousands of people go out on the street and are willing to get shot, the only question left is whether the security services will shoot. And that's why in Iran the revolution failed, because the security services were willing to shoot. In Tunisia, they weren't. The military stepped in and prevented a bloodbath. And the question that is behind everybody's minds on the streets in Egypt today is, when it comes to that, if these demonstrations grow, what will the security services do? Will they kill their own people to protect a 30-year authoritarian ruler like Mubarak, or will they not. That's why you see little pieces of evidence coming in, security services switch sides, join the protesters. That's the crucial indicator of how this will come out.
And if you were at state, what would you be advising right now? Those phone lines that are getting picked up. What do you say to Egyptian leadership?
Well, my personal view is that the United States has made a mistake over the years in being a country that was founded on democratic values, in not being seen and acting on those democratic values throughout the Middle East. And I don't think, in the end, if we act on those values, we will hurt ourselves. It's risky, it's tricky, there are important other security interests at stake, but we're the United States of America. We should be on the side of representative government.
Jamie, thank you very much for your time.